Hi, Jared. My name is David Abels, and I'm the CTO of a family of different tech startups that have been moving along for the past 10 to 20 years now. And along the way, I've watched a whole lot of different partners and people that we've worked with have concepts that fell apart. And we've also had a couple of things that I've seen succeed. And so I want to take some of that and apply that to what I've just seen from your idea here. So to start off, things that I thought were good about GlobalView. I like the fact that you had already done the thought you'd put a presentation together, which was nice. I like that you'd thought about a logo and what that would represent and have some real vision for where you want to go. And I like that you were very upfront about the fact that, hey, this is a thing for sharing photos and videos, and there's lots of other things like that. I'm going to tell you what's different about this. You were good to admit that upfront, and then what I understand as I got more into it, is that your idea is really about sharing drone footage so that people who think the footage looks really great but who don't have access to a drone themselves could still have access to it to use. But so now as I get into some feedback, there's really two levels where I want to do this. One, and that I think is the key to any particular venture. One is the idea. Is it unique? Is it solving a real problem? And is it doing it in a way that adds value so that people would want to come to you versus somebody else? And then how have you demonstrated to me that you can actually execute on this so that as an investor or partner, I know that any effort or money I put in is actually going to come back to me? So for your idea, it is I think it's a compelling concept in that it is unique in that it's targeting drone footage specifically. The thing is, that took me a while to get that from your presentation. That should have been the number one thing that you go with. And rather than starting with any sort of disclaimers about, oh, it's kind of like this other stuff, start with how it's unique and the idea that it feeds into something that the output of that is what you then put on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. That, I think, is what distinguishes you. It's like, yeah, these are things for finished products. Here's where you can get the things you do to create that. The thing though that where I think you want to focus is on where you add specific value, because if it's people who don't have access to drones because they're expensive or anything else, why are they going to spend money to get involved in your project as opposed to just stealing drone footage off of YouTube and they could edit together whatever they want? So I think having something where you show that you add enough value that it's going to be worth people to actually pay something for is good. And I think since for anything new like that, it's hard to start with asking for people for money up front. Having some sort of a free option or a free tier that someone could get involved with, so it's a low barrier to entry. I think that would be something to think about. But really, I think any company that's going to be successful, it comes down to execution. You put some smart people or creative people in a room, they can come up with a dozen concepts that all can sound pretty good. The key is, can you actually execute and pull that off? And that's, at the end of the day, what it's going to come down to. And so, to that end, that's where I'd like to see the focus and how you can improve this pitch, or what I think you should do next if you really want to make this happen. One of those is, show me some footage. Show me, say, hey, here's stuff that I've collected, but here's stuff that from someone, here's something that I've edited together that has footage from people all around the world that you couldn't have had access to yourself. That's interesting. And likewise, as you talk about, so one is just on your actual product. Show me some mock-ups, if nothing else. Show me some concepts of what you could do that would be interesting. And then when you get into revenue, that needs to go to another level. It needs to know if you're going to sell ad space, you're going to have subscribers. You need to have an idea of at what point, how large of a customer base and subscriber base and advertiser base do you need before your venture becomes profitable? Because otherwise an investor has no idea to know that if they put money in, at some point it's going to actually start bringing money back, as opposed to just always being a hold because it can never quite meet the expenses that are needed. And in a similar thing, I like that you had some concepts of here's where money needs to come in and here's where it's going to go towards, but that should you should have some justification of where those costs came from, even if it's just based on internet research, and also know that those costs are not one-time fees. There's always annual costs or recurring costs that are involved. I do think that this concept of, hey, this is a way of licensing drone footage and making it available, I think there's something to that. And so I would be looking at partnerships. I would be looking at, say, find you find drone manufacturers that would be interested in having a built-in way for people who are take footage with their drones who can just upload it automatically and know that hey, that's there, and they may be able to get a little bit of money for the stuff that they filmed. And then if they can make money in their sleep, then they want to sign up, and that becomes a useful thing. And maybe that's something that it's rather than early investment, maybe it's partnership, or maybe it's a joint venture with you and a drone manufacturer that see this as a real value add for their customers. I wish you all the best of luck. It's a neat idea, and I would love to see what this turns into. Thanks.